Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl Tay. Welcome to Live with Tay, where we have real conversations with amazing people you need to know. And I always put you down with something new to add to your playlist. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Listen, tonight's guest, you may be saying to yourself, who? But I'm telling you, stick around, tell a friend, tag a friend, because James Artissen is definitely somebody you gonna need to know. So welcome to Live with Tay, Mr. James
What's up, Queen? What's going on?
Artissen. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm great. Can't complain.
Listen, well, I said before we got started, James, you do everything. So, singer, songwriter, music producer, audio engineer, label owner now, right? So, for anybody watching that's like, who is this guy? How would you sum up who you are to somebody who has no idea who James Artissen is?
Who is James Artisan? I'm someone that just loves the arts, entertainment, music, what have you. Just I've been that person that always saw myself as a mogul at a young kid. So I just had to make it happen.
Listen, and you ain't trying to make it happen. You are definitely making it happen.
Much
And
love.
so let's take us back to the beginning. So I read you're from Queens, New York. What up, New York? What up? What up?
Queens get
What
the money. You heard?
up? And so how do you feel your upbringing growing up in New York has caused you to be this creative that does a plethora of things?
A lot of inspiration, a lot of influences, a lot of just people just being around the fold, with different styles of music and people around the way, like especially, early 2000s, even the 90s, like
Mm,
everybody was around, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, you can meet somebody on the Ave, on the block, or wherever you at, like people was just around, especially coming up. And
Mhm.
it was exactly that for me, like just meeting different people and, going to the record stores every weekend and buying albums and vinyls I never heard to read the credits and looking at the fly,
Yeah.
album covers and the inserts and all of that. So, all of that was inspiration for me. And
Listen, now somebody watching this just got lost because they was like going to the record. What is that? And so
yeah,
yeah,
that
you
was the thing.
definitely came up in a time where people could appreciate
Yeah,
music. I still say vinyl. When you hear vinyl compared to the digital, totally,
yeah.
totally different. And so for you, 16 years old, I read that you meet the ultimate. Michael Jackson. Now, I went to a Michael Jackson concert, so maybe I understand is being able to have appreciated being able to witness such greatness. But how did meeting Michael Jackson at 16 change your life?
Actually, I met him at 11.
What?
Yeah, I met him at 11 years old. And that was the crazy part. At 11 years old, I was probably the biggest Michael fan. Of course, everybody would say that.
That part. Did you have a Jerry curl, James? These are things that
No, I
people
didn't
don't.
have a Jerry curl. I didn't have a Jerry curl, but I think I had the Thriller jacket, and it probably had a glove or something. I'm thinking I'm Michael too, it's all good. And I remember, back in the day, artists used to have fan clubs. So
Mhm.
I remember MySpace was popping in, and
Ooh.
I think Facebook was just starting or bubbling. But
Mhm.
artists had their fan clubs, and I was a part of the Michael Jackson fan club. And they would send out, updates whenever he's going to be in the city or state or whatever. And I think they had sent out an invitation or a notice or something via email that he was going to be in New York. And I'm thinking this is a regular day, me and my pops, we going to the city, just to hang out or whatever. And it turns out to be we going to Webster Hall to go to a Michael Jackson event.
Mhm.
And he was accepting an award that evening. And I had no clue. I'm thinking we just hanging out and we get there and I'm seeing buses and impersonators and everything.
You're
So
like, what is going on?
yeah, it was crazy. So it was standing room only. So we go straight to the front. The news is behind me. Everybody's fainting and all the girls is crying. And, so it was just a crazy thing. And somehow we finessed our way to get backstage. and I met him in the green room, and it was just the dopest thing ever.
Listen, hats off to you. Hats off to you because anybody, I don't care, young, old, whatever, something about seeing Michael Jackson, right? It just like you're like in a trance. You're
Yeah, it
just
was, it was to me, especially at that age, it was, once in a lifetime opportunity, to meet
mhm,
somebody that you idolize like that.
yeah.
But also too, that was like the first kind of inkling that kind of told me in my mind, I think music is gonna be my path.
Mm,
Not knowing exactly what yet, but
mhm.
something in that capacity, dealing with music, I think I would want to go for. And that was that first moment. And after that, I just never looked back.
Hey, I love it. And so, music, you've definitely never looked back. So you start off as a songwriter, right? Is
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
your first dabble or first relationship layer to
yeah,
this thing called the music industry, right?
I
And
was.
so when you start songwriting, how did it begin? How did you just say, you know what? I think I'm gonna write this song, or I think what I put down is a song. Take us through that.
Well, it started with me just kind of learning the structure of writing songs. So in the
Mhm,
sense of like, okay, there's a chorus, there's a verse, there's a bridge, there's a pre-chorus, all the nuances to actually creating a song, right?
mhm,
And then, as time went on, I kind of discovered that I was good with putting concepts together and
mhm,
words together because I was always good in school in the sense of like, literature, writing, metaphors, all that good stuff. So I just kind of implemented that into the songwriting aspect. And then after a while, I'm like, okay, well, I'm writing cool stuff here, but now I need the music to go
mhm,
behind this to kind of
mhm.
puzzle together. And that's when I got into the music production part.
Ooh. So I'm gonna pause right here because somebody who's just turning in might be saying, "Now, how does this have anything to do with me?" Check it. You could be a person that likes writing, right? You could have a child that does very good in that area. I think that we all have to understand that in the music industry, being in the front and in the center is not the only money maker that's
Right.
out, right?
Absolutely.
Um, Songwriting, definitely one because you wrote it. So every time they play it, every time they use it for something, you're going to get kickback for that. But I
Definitely.
love the fact that when I read your bio, not only do you songwriting, music produce, but audio engineering. For
Yeah.
someone who's watching and is saying, well, audio engineering, like what is that? How would you describe that to them, James?
Audio engineering. So that's pretty much the technical part of, let's just say, when you go into a studio and you want to record a song, you have the song written, you have the beat or whatever. The audio engineer is someone that makes sure your vocals are clear, making sure they're sounding good, they're putting all the effects on it. But there's different pieces to it as well because you have a recording engineer, you have the audio engineer, and then you have the mastering engineer. So
Mm,
you need all three. So you can't skip the steps. So the recording engineer is basically someone that records your vocals when you go into the studio. The audio engineer is the one that actually mixes your vocals to make sure it sounds good. The blend is good. It's level. Sounds as good as it possibly can.
right.
Mastering engineer is making sure that it's loud enough when you hear it on the radio or it's on a CD, or he's the final piece to make sure that it's ready to go before the public hears it.
I love it. I love it. And so nowadays, James, there's so many, and I love social media. I know people have a love hate relationship and all of the things. But for me, as a music lover, I love the fact that there are so many artists that we are discovering through the tool of social media, right? And so, what are your thoughts on, from an engineering perspective, right? Because they're making the music.
Mhm.
However, like you said, you need to have those three components before it actually gets pushed out. So for someone who might, and it costs, so let's just keep that all the way 100. It's a pretty penny to get that time. But what word of advice would you have for a young artist or an artist that's out here now in regards to utilizing those tools before they can actually afford to get the all the engineers and all of the things that come up with pushing that music out?
That's a good question. I think again, it's all in steps. So if you're a brand new artist and you're looking to get into the industry, I think first before anything is you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I
Mm,
doing it, for monetary gain? Am I doing it for the attention? Am I doing it because I love it?
mhm,
So you got to make a decision on exactly why you're in the business, number one.
mhm,
Two is what are you selling? Because, is it like, let's just take like a Cardi B. Most people would love her of her personality, not
mhm,
probably necessarily of her rapping ability, but
mhm.
she's a package, right? So
Yes.
do you want to be that, or do you want to be someone that's, a true artist, you're a musician, you play instruments, you're a great songwriter, you have a great voice, so you have to continue to build on that and perfect that.
Mm,
So it's not like you just come into this game and then you just throw something out and then all of a sudden you're just the greatest thing walking around.
right.
It takes years and years of building, years and years of trial and error, years and years of perfecting your craft. And, after that, now you're selling yourself to the public because now, okay, what is going to be your it factor for people to want to buy into you?
Mhm, mhm.
So those are the things you got to, kind of think about. And then the last piece would be, um, now that we have, plethora of social media platforms, you have to, um, connect with your audience.
Yeah.
Not only build the audience, but you have to connect with the audience. And, it takes learning on how to do that, so it's not one size fit all, everybody's different, but
And you got to put that work in. So
you gotta
I'm
put
looking
that
out
work in.
here. Shout out some of the people watching. I see Toya B. She's a makeup artist extraordinaire, and Nicole Gregory. She does acting. So I just see both of them off the top, and I'm thinking to myself, although what you just shared is good for a musician, it's really good for anybody. So
Absolutely.
anything that you're getting into, I don't care if it's real estate, I don't care if it's a teacher, whatever it is, you have to have your why, like you shared, and you have to say what is your package,
Right.
because when you have those things, it's gonna help you have longevity. Because again, if you are an influencer and maybe you got virtual or viral overnight, you know what I'm saying, you woke up, um you still have to keep going, you still got to have a package, you still got to figure out something so that you can stay, because that one ain't gonna keep you there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always tell people, especially these days, the name of the game is consistency.
Mhm.
It's because you can be talented or not talented, but as long as you're consistent, most likely something is going to stick. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But you
Yeah.
have to be consistent no matter what.
That part. And even in the consistency, it's even trial and error fair. You're going to fail. I remember when I first started my platform, I'm like, what in the world? And I wanted to touch every avenue of entertainment. But for me, music is that's my thing. So I get excited about musicians and having those conversations. So I
Yeah.
know that I can interview anyone. However, music, those are, that's my niche and that's what I enjoy. So my audience base and who those people are going to be people that
Amazing.
love music. And speaking of music, some of y'all watching love some of the artists that this guy right here has worked with. So let's get into your career. So
Let's do it.
songwriting, producing, engineering, and now you're a label owner as well. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And Grammy nominated, not one time, but multiple times. And so, very talented in your gifts and your passions.
Thank you.
In the music space, you've worked with Justin Bieber,
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
worked with Meek Mill,
yeah.
you've worked with, I saw Houdini, and I'm like, James, look at this array, because you ain't seeing these people, Robin S, BNGB, all these people in one room, because it's so just a large array. As a creative, why do you feel it's so important not to just stay in one area, but to be very versed? Because you are truly versed in your craft and in your music selection of people that you work.
Um, it's super important because we're in a business to where nothing is guaranteed. You know, nothing is promised. You don't know when that next opportunity is going to come. So you have to create opportunities. You have to
Mhm.
create situations. And, you know, even for me personally, I've always just been a music person, which
Mhm.
means that I love all genres.
Mhm.
So my mind and my creative mind would never let me just stay in one place. You know, it's always going to veer over here and over there, and you know, so that's kind of how my discography became so diverse because of that. But then also too, you got to flap your wings, you know, because you know, if you're sticking to just hip hop and R&B, and then you're excluding yourself from going to house music and electronic music and dance music and pop music and country and you know, even jazz and soul and all that. It's so many you know, opportunities not only, but there's a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't
but
leave the money
you
on the
gotta go
table.
after it.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta go after it. But also the differences with me is I love this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I love going to work with a Justin Bieber, then going to work with a Katy Perry, then going to work with a 112, and then a Goody Mob, and you know, it's all over the place. But I love it because that's just the love of music that I have.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine as I was looking through your disc and who you'd work with, I'm like, I could go on a road trip with James because his playlist is probably like mine. You're going to get a little bit of
Yeah,
this.
you will hear a whole lot.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so let's talk about your label. So you've done all these things, right? And now you have Humble Sound Records. Well,
Yes,
let's
yes,
get to the name first. What made you select the name of Humble Sound Records as your label?
yes, yes. So I came up with the name Humble Sound Records because I've always believed that everybody has humility inside of them, but
Mhm.
it takes that person to, you know, humble themselves to bring that out in the best ways, right? And you know, I felt like that embodied me because I've never been a person that let myself get ahead of myself in the sense of I don't have to talk all the time. I don't have to let everybody know everything that's happening at once and put it in your face. Like I let my work speak. And sometimes I let other people speak for me and let them, you know, tell you how great I am or whatever,
Yeah.
you know. But, you know, I just feel like the humility is what keeps the driving force behind you, and it keeps the creativity at its highest too. And
Mhm.
that's what I wanted the label to represent is your creativity at the highest level. You know, great musicians, great artistry, great creatives in one hub. And that's what Humble Sound Records embodies.
No, I love that. I love that. Nicole Gregory says, cool, cool.
Yeah,
So,
Nicole.
when you think of record industry right now, right? I hear so many people saying, well, why would you have a record label? Because it doesn't make a difference. Nobody listens. Nobody, you could do it all on yourself. You don't have to have a label. What is your response or your thoughts on the importance of having a record label as an artist or as a creative too?
Um, I don't necessarily think right now independent artists should be worrying about signing to a major record label.
Hmm.
Because we hold the power right now. We hold the power in the sense of the independency of what we're creating, the ownership of what we're creating, the time that it devotes to making it, and not just waiting for someone to tell us, hey, well, you can only release this when this artist is out and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? We can do things at our own leisure.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, you got to decide what works best for you. Signing to a major record label may work for someone if that's what their expectations are. So if you want to take, you know, a hefty advance, just know that you got to pay it back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But the caveat to it is, okay, now you're opening yourself up to a bigger audience
Mhm.
with some resources. You know, that's what it's for. But you're giving up control as well.
Mhm.
So it just depends on, you know, what you're most comfortable with. But at the same time, you know, I tell people like you gotta be smart these days. Like there's no excuse on lack of knowledge.
Mm. Is
The
there
information
many
is
people?
there.
Yeah.
The information is there. Like it's not like when I first came into the business, a lot of information was gatekept.
Mm.
You really had to go into these meetings and meet these executives and meet these CEOs and go to these studios and really talk and fish for information and really get down to the grind of it. You know what I mean? But now you can Google any and everything, so there's no excuse.
Mm, I love that. I love that. And so, with Humble Sound Records as your label, what can an artist expect, or what would you say your mission, your value, is for the label?
So the label, we're designed in a way of we don't stifle artists. We don't pigeonhole them in a sense of, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. We let them flourish in their art. We let them be as creative as possible. We're fair. We don't take anything that isn't worth taking. We like to make sure that they still own their craft, right?
Mm,
But also we give constructive criticism. We give direction,
mm,
and we're very honest with how things are ran. We let them know, and we let them see what's going on behind the scenes. So
mhm.
we're hands on with our artists and our roster or anybody that we do business with.
No,
So I think that's the most important piece because you're not necessarily going to get that with a major label.
everywhere. That part, yeah, anywhere I would say. Just say that. Let's keep it all the way 100 there. And so, songwriter, music producer, got a label, and now you got music too. So
Yeah,
let's get into that. So not only do you do all of these things, but you're also an artist as well. And
yeah,
so share with us, when did you decide, your songwriting, and then you say, you know what, let me go ahead and get in the in the booth. Walk us through that. When did you have that epiphany?
yeah. So I remember 2017, I was working with a good friend of mine by the name of International Nova. He's a Latin artist now, but back then he was more of a rapper. And I remember he was working on his album at the time. He had just moved to Atlanta. I was one of the first people he met in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And we were just kind of locking in. We were working on stuff. I was working on stuff. And one day he wanted me to reference a hook for him on one of his songs, not to really keep, just to kind of have an idea
Hear
on
this now.
decide who
Mhm.
he would want to put on it. And that kind of turned into us doing more songs and more songs. So we had a little catalog of stuff that I was on. And one day he was like, well, I want to keep you on one of these because it's just too dope. So I said, okay, well, I don't really know how it's going to go because I'm not an artist.
Right.
So he proposed the idea, maybe we should do a group. And I said, that's different. So
Hmm.
we ended up becoming a duo group, which was called Kings X2. And we put out a single called Wine for Me, which was the
Yeah.
end of 2017. And I remember the month after it came out, we debuted at number 10 on the Billboard charts. And
Hmm.
that was the first time I ever was on a song, period, to the public. First time anybody heard my voice, anything.
So
And
people are probably thinking, "Who is this?" Now,
yeah, yeah, and they found out it was me, and they were like, "Wow, okay, that's crazy." I mean, just the fact alone that I'm on it, but the fact that we debuted,
mm,
on the charts that high, it was crazy. I think we stayed on there for a good 3 weeks, and then we just kept going from there. And then a little while after we disbanded the group, we were just
mhm,
working on different things,
mhm.
and then that's when I became a solo artist in 2018.
I love it. I love it. And so, as I was looking through your catalog of music, right, I have to say, we have real conversations here, James.
Let's do it.
Like, James, you went from a techno to a soul. I mean, literally, it was like a smorgasbord of different music, but I love it.
Thank
And
you.
the fact that, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a music lover. Music is my love language, and so my playlist got a little. We might listen to gospel. I mean, it's gonna go any which way, right? And
Mhm.
so I love that as an artist, as a solo artist, you are not afraid to get into your creative bag. You know, you're not a, your voice isn't one, and it's no offense to anyone, because you know sometimes you'll hear something, you'll say, "Oh, that's Brandy," you know, like you know, because you know off the top. The songs, like literally, I had to look on my Apple Music, like, wait, did somebody else have to have his name? Because the song went from a hip hop to a I mean, it was different.
Yeah.
How um why do you feel that's important for you as a creative to not be afraid to, you know, go into your bag, because your bag is very colorful?
Um, I think it started when I released my first project, which was called Blue Leisure. This was 20,
Mm,
and that was like an experimental project for me, not only in the debut project, but it was something that I kind of looked at in a sense of, because in 2019, I thought R&B was like in a transitional phase, in a sense of like the production was different, the writing was different. You know, I think at the time, you know, of course, you had The Weeknd, you had Bryson Tiller,
mm-hmm.
kind of like that, you know, that R&B soul, but still mixed with like trap hip hop and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of vibe.
It was far from the 90s and the
Yeah,
early
it was
2000s.
just something new and
I mean,
fresh, and that was kind of something that I wanted to embody, but just in my own way, but also going kind of left field, but not really.
right.
So in a sense of like that first project, I mean, I had Tony Terry on there, I had Houdini on there, I had Sona Relay on there, I had Kalina from Diddy Dirty Money on there.
That's what I said.
People
Literally.
were like, well, how did he even do that? Like my first single was with Houdini, you know, at the gate. So everybody was just kind of like in awe of, okay, he's coming crazy already as a new artist.
Hmm.
So that right there was kind of like the catalyst of, okay, people are embracing this not only, but I feel like that's because I am fearless. And that's
Mm,
because I have worked with so many other artists already in different genres to where it wasn't really a shocker.
mm, okay.
I mean, so people embraced it even more. So by the time that I got to the second project, you know, it was a leg up. So that project I had, you know, Ruffins, Truth Hurts, Drag On, Ray Lavender, you know, and then after that I kept going and going. So
Mm,
genres started changing, and I
yeah.
started doing tours overseas and stuff. So that's how it transitioned into, you know, the versatility.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that. And so I'm happy you said that, the overseas, right? A lot of you all that may be watching, you know, I love a good show. I love a good concert, but I've had the opportunity to see shows overseas. And so it amazes me the way that other cultures embrace our music.
Absolutely.
I lived a little bit over in the Philippines. Shout out my Philippines family, because I know they
That's the
probably watching.
Philippines.
Yeah, they support.
Mhm.
I remember going over there and just watching how music. I was in a call center. Music would just be like a treat for them, right? So
Yeah.
if we were working, I'd be like, They'd be like, well, can we listen to Chris Brown? I'm like, well, let's get the work done. They'll do the work and then be like, okay, we want to listen to Chris Brown, because they just embodied all of R&B, hip hop, you know, music. And so traveling overseas, do you feel like there's a greater appreciation for you there versus the States? Or for you, do you feel like it's equal?
I think now it's kind of equal. Before I felt a little bit more comfortability
Mm,
Europe and overseas because it was just a different appreciation for the music, especially the different types of music and
yeah.
styles.
Hmm.
But I think, you know, as time went on, people just gravitated towards me a little bit more in the States because of the um the different types of collaborations that I was doing, and then the style, and then just more so how I was marketing myself in the
Mm,
sense of I wasn't trying to be the most vocal, or even most times I wasn't trying to be the most seen,
mm,
and
hmm,
that's what
hmm.
kind of reeled them in to
Yeah.
kind of want more and figure out, okay, what's he gonna do next? You know,
Right.
it was
Right.
kind of like the the weekend effect, I would call it, because in the beginning, nobody knew what he looked like.
At all.
You just heard his voice,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of took that, in my own way, but, and I did it my own way, but I think people respected it because, it was just like, I hear this guy, I've heard of him through other people.
Right?
I see him on social media, but I don't really know him
No.
too much yet, or not even really who he looks like. And then when people see me, it was almost like, okay, I see him, but he looks like Nas. He looks like Kanye. He looks like Babyface. So it was like a mixture of stuff going on, which I thought was dope.
No, I love that for you. And so the fact of you doing this, you're confident in who you are as James, right? You are definitely just confident. You know who you are. You're not going to be persuaded to go any other way but the James way because you know who you are. And so in this day and age, especially with social media and comparison syndrome, and people are always, well, am I enough? If I am I not enough,
Yeah.
etc. What encouragement could you give someone watching on the journey to finding out and being comfortable with who you are as a creative, as a teacher, as a whatever you are?
I think to be great in anything, you have to love yourself and you have to know
Mm,
yourself. And it's good to, of course, have people who revere you as, great or whatever have you, compliments, whatever. But you can't really hold too much weight onto that because it starts with you. Like for me, for example, when I make music for me.
mm,
I make music that makes me feel good. I make
mm,
music that I would want to hear. I make music that, um, for lack of better words, I think it would feel good to the soul.
mm,
And
mm.
it's a blessing that, the rest of the world loves that too. You know what I mean? But I don't necessarily make it for the world,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And I think that that's what has sustained you in this entertainment career, in this journey, because you're not doing it for the awards. You're not doing it for the money. You're not doing it for the likes and the shares and all of that. You're doing it for James. And
Yeah.
because you do it for James, the authenticity of it comes through. And so, for anybody watching this, I don't care what you do. You could be a hairstylist, a makeup artist, a teacher, a bus driver, whatever. Show up as your authentic self,
Yes.
and the doors are going to open for you. Don't
Definitely.
be anybody other than yourself because people ain't gonna feel that, and you wasting your energy because your energy is gonna be more exuded trying to be somebody else versus if you just show up as yourself.
Yeah. Because, believe it or not, people recognize authenticity way
Mhm.
more than anything else. People can feel your energy. People can see, most times people can see right through you,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you just got to be yourself. You got to and also past that, especially when you're creative, you got to exude greatness. Like
Mm,
you got to exude the confidence that I'm as dope as the next person, if not more.
that
And
part.
you
That's
got
right.
to feel
That's
that.
what I'm trying to tell people. People, I am bigger than Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey gonna be coming asking me, Tay, how can I get on your show?
There you
Girl,
go.
get on my schedule, honey.
There
That
you
part.
go.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
You
So
gotta feel that. You gotta feel that
yeah.
because 9 times out of 10, if you feel that and you're exuding that, they're gonna feel that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Is it that huh, now that's a whole word. That's a whole word right there. So James, you got music, you're doing all of the things. How can we support you? What does James Artissen have up his sleeve coming up next?
Man, what I got coming up, man, it's a whole lot. So let me just try to run it down. Um, okay, so I'm working on my debut album, which that's the big thing right now. So I'm
Okay.
working on an album for next year. I just did a joint deal with Third Eye Recordings and Universal Music Group. Shout out to them. On top of that, I'm working on a joint EP with an artist by the name of Big Bags out of North Carolina.
Okay.
So shout out to Bags. I got another joint EP I'm doing with Cujo Goody from Goody Mob. Shout out to my brother Cujo.
Hey.
Yeah, we got a lot of projects off the label that's coming as well. New project with Truth, new project with Robin. Shout out to Tanisha Kelly, new project with her. Shout out to Sophia Habib, Shina. They both have projects coming as well. So, we're just staying busy, staying
Hey,
busy.
listen, so anybody, how can we support you? So, you are definitely somebody that we need to know. So, how tell anybody watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay, how can they support you and all of the great things that you're doing?
Yes, yes. You can follow me all social media at James Artissen. You can go to the website, www.jamesartissen.com, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Artissen.
Listen, now pause. We're gonna do our final closeout, but you didn't hit something, and I don't want the people to miss it. Did y'all hear? He said his website, jamesartisan.com. Y'all got 5 million gajillion emails that people couldn't find you if they was trying. So, keep it simple, keep it fresh. We didn't touch on it, but real quick, you originally your name was James Worthy, right?
Yes, 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 it
That
was.
was your name. And so that's his born name, it's what his parents named him.
Yes, yes.
But when you hear James Worthy, we all thought the baller. And
Absolutely.
so, James, why did you feel it was important to do a rebrand, especially because James Worthy, you definitely, I mean, you had some success under that name. So most people would say, what? Why would you do that? And now that people won't know who you are, or you have to rebuild under a new name. So walk us through why you decided to do that.
Yeah. So like you said, most people did know me as James Worthy, but at a certain point, I felt I needed to separate myself from that name because, myself and the basketball player James Worthy shared the same name. So it was kind of getting confusing to the public at certain times in the sense of when they search us, different things will pop up. People would just keep asking the same questions, in the sense of, I didn't know he did music, or I didn't know he played basketball. And,
Or
so I
worse
just
than
kind of,
they're like, that's your dad. Your
yeah,
son.
well, people would
Huh?
ask, is he related?
Right.
So, I just kind of got tired of just kind of answering the same questions all the time, but also in the sense of just getting rid of the confusion and
Mhm.
just going into a new phase in my life and career. So that's what birthed James Artisan. And artisan means that you are the best at what you do. You're the best
Mhm.
at your craft. And I felt like that embodied me because I have that self-belief in me. I do feel like I'm the greatest at what I do. you know
Listen.
so that's why that name change was so significant for me, and it felt like it gave me a brand new start.
Mm. Well, listen, the greatness is on you. You are doing amazing, amazing things. So, like he said, support him. If you're in the Atlanta area, I think I saw on social media, you have something coming up this weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I have an appearance. What is that place called? I think it's Milan Lounge
Yes.
in Atlanta. So I'll be there this Saturday. I will be announcing some show dates coming up really, really soon to end out the year. So stay tuned to the socials. Of course, like I said, new music dropping. So I'll be posting updates about that. And by the way, I seen you had a guest on your show before, which she was my college professor. And I thought it was so funny. Shout out to Stacey Epps.
Yes, Stacey! Yeah, she was my last week, New Music Friday.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
she was actually my college professor at the Art Institute of Atlanta.
yeah, yeah. She just had a dope show too. Sorry,
Yeah.
Stacey, I
She
didn't
just
come.
actually dropped the album, so shout out to her, man.
Yeah, yeah, her album is fire.
Yeah,
And that, hey, greatness, iron sharpens iron there, because
yeah,
Stacey definitely is a vibe. She's a vibe. She's a
yeah,
vibe. So no, I love it. We definitely want to come out and support you. If you're
absolutely.
not in the Atlanta area, but I'm gonna go ahead and pitch it. If you're a promoter watching this or having an event and you're looking for an artist to bring that vibe, listen, James Artisan is your guy. You need to go
Come
ahead
holler at me, man.
holler at him for sure and get him booked and all of the great things. But as our custom here on Live with Tay, I can't let you go without asking you a few questions. So,
Let's do it.
Lord, I'm interested in this first one because, baby, you didn't work with everybody at this point. So, I'm all about collaboration. And so sometimes, we're great by ourselves, but there is power in joining forces with others. So, if you had a dream collaboration with someone, whether they were past or present, who would it be and
Hmm.
why? And you can pick multiple. So I'm gonna let you because your repertoire, I'm sure, ain't no telling which
Oh man, I mean, there's quite a few. I would say, of course, rest in peace, Michael Jackson. Of course, that would have been a dream collaboration for me. But besides him, man, I'm a big Miguel fan. Shout out to Miguel.
I could see that.
Yeah, so I would love to do something with him. Chris Brown, big fan of
Mhm.
Brown. The Weekend, Weekend fan. Frank Ocean.
Ooh,
Um, man, let me see.
this stumps everybody.
Maroon 5, Nirvana. I
Ooh.
mean, there's tons.
Okay, I like that Maroon 5. Hey, you do that one. I just need to be in the studio because I am a Maroon
Look,
5 lover, honey. Listen.
look, I'm gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna do up in there, but we're gonna make something shake. But that's it's just sometimes I pick those names because not only they're different styles, but they challenge themselves
Mm,
musically. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I identify with that, so I would love to work with people that challenge themselves to just open the boundaries even more and
yeah.
just, not go into it with expectations. We're just creating art.
Yeah. And I love that about music. So, for real music lovers out there, you all appreciate this and the fact that I am happy that we're getting back to a time where music, we're just doing the art of music. There's
Right.
so many different styles and different artists that are just great in their own right that are out here. It's making us fall in love with music again. Cause I don't know about anybody else, but there was a time where I was like, I was listening to all old music and nothing new just because I didn't feel it. It didn't have that soul to it. But I can say now, I'm always getting introduced to new artists, be it on TikTok or just on playlists that pop up on my phone. And I'm like, oh, I really like this person. I could
And to me,
really
that's the
just feel
beauty
it.
of social media.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of playlists, I gotta know this gonna be good. Let me get my phone because I
Okay,
need
what's on
to.
my
So
playlist?
what's on your playlist, honey? Because I need, matter of fact, just text me your playlist because I know you got
Hmm,
some good. But for those watching, give us 3 songs now that
hmm.
are musts on your
Three
playlist that you
songs.
can
Three
share with
three songs. Well, actually, I just added Miguel's new record. I think it's called Marty's.
me.
Um, yeah, I because he has an album coming out pretty soon.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
so I just added his record called Marty's. Um, I have a record on there by Frank Ocean called Swim Good, which is one of my favorite songs of all
Yeah.
time.
You gotta really be a music lover fan because those ain't the ones that they playing all on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
pop. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Um, man, let me see. Hmm. That's a hard one, man, because I got a lot of records, man. Like
What
even
did you listen to today? Give me something because I know music is your thing. I'm sure today you had on something. Give me something that
um, you know what? I was listening to a Tribe Called Quest. I was listening to a couple of records, but one of my favorite of all time by Tribe is a record called Once Again. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a record called Once Again by Tribe.
Okay.
There's another one called Find a Way. It's one of my
Oh yeah,
favorite.
that's my song. I like Find It.
Of course, Electric Relaxation. You
Yeah.
know, there's a whole lot. I mean, Tribe is my favorite hip hop group of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Touche. All
It's
right.
funny. Matter of fact, fun fact. Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders was the first album that I ever bought. Period.
Mm. Chad, we can tell we are two different age groups. Ask Tay what hers was. New edition, Telephone Man, that on a
Shout
smart.
out to New Edition.
Yeah,
Shout out to my Uncle B, Bobby Brown.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
He's gonna be in Georgia this weekend too. So yeah. So okay, so good ones on your playlist. I love it. I love it. I love it. And we can't be remiss. I could not. There's no way, shape, or form that I could let tonight end without paying tribute to the late great Michael Eugene Archer, better known to the world as D'Angelo. Definitely yesterday was a tough day.
Oh man, it caught me by surprise.
I mean, I was driving and I was like, what are you talking about? And the fact that someone who was just so musically inclined, and it's ideal for me to be interviewing you tonight because in my opinion both of you all know who you are, and you create your own rules in this whole music in this music industry. So definitely
I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times in the past, and very cool brother, very down to earth. Of course, like you said, very talented. And interesting enough, I also know his son. His son goes by the name of Suevo. He's an artist as well.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. I know he's going through a rough patch. Lost his father and his mother this year. So much prayers to him.
Yeah, definitely. And an amazing artist, their son. So definitely I'm looking to see once he gets through this, what will become in his artistry, because he definitely has some greatness on him as well. So, all right. Well, I mean, this is Live with Tay, where we didn't had a real conversation with somebody you definitely need to know, James Artissen. So please follow him on all streaming platforms, social media, all of the things. And y'all stick around. It's more with Live with Tay. If you enjoyed this episode, which I'm sure that you did, go ahead, like it, share it. If you're watching the replay, comment in below. We'll reply back to you. But until next time, y'all, we out. Peace out. Bye, y'all.